Wondering why the markets moved the way they did this week? Well, I'll be breaking it down so you'll be able to trade smarter next week. Welcome to the end of week market recap, where I'll be breaking down key price movement, market structure, and key levels and key setups to prepare you for going to next week. So by the end of the video, you'll have a clear understanding how to trade smarter next week. So let's hop right into the charts. Right now, we are looking at gold on the weekly time frame. So as we can see here, on the current week, we can see how price closed indecisive. So what does that mean when I say price closed indecisive? Well, we can see here that price sellers came in pushing price down, and then price came up, creating this high, closing this low. So this is the indecisive candle. So as we can see here on this week here, we're still within the same weekly, this range where price actually had, made a huge drop. So we're still in between. Okay, hey, look, was this a true sell-off? Will price, is gold getting ready to drop down, or will we continue to go up higher? So with this being the indecisive week, right? We still close bullish, but it's an indecisive. So it's almost like it's a kind of like a reset. So you want to wait to see, okay, hey, where the true direction is going to be. This is not one week where you want to just trade the opening of the next day. So if we go to the daily time frame, we can see how we're still within this range right here, right? Where price broke out and retest. So this is a key resistant level because we have 1, 2, 3. We have 3 touches here. So that's a key resistant level, right? So as we can see, we're in this small little uptrend, right? But we also is within this range where price dropped down hard. So here's a few things that we're going to be looking into, right? If we look here, right, we can see how price made this low and then push up, right? Creating this high right here, followed by a higher low. What does a higher low mean? It fell to previous low, which is this low right here. And then we can see how price is right now at equal highs of this right here, followed by another pullback, which is a higher low from here. Now we did close bullish the previous day, which is usually a good sign if we're going to continue in this direction. So this is where we're currently at in price right now. So here are 2 things that can happen, right, with this idea concept, right? So we, like I said, we got this nice little up momentum, but we're still within this range of the previous week where price can easily push down because, like I said, we can see how on the previous day we closed bearish and we kind of push up, retesting back into this area right here, right? So 2 things can happen. Either on that Sunday going to that Monday, we can end up closing bearish on that Monday. If price do close bearish on the next day, then most likely we probably can expect price to continue to push down lower if it closed bearish. But if we get like an ideal structure of price pushing here, right? Let's say if price decides to break above here, we get this nice little pullback, and then price decides to break above here. Then this would be a clear sign to see price take off back higher. So we can see that right here. And if price decide to close, let's see, the mama son in the background. If price decides to close bearish, right? So if we get below this point right here, we are back above 5,000, but anything back below 5,000 and end up breaking this low right here. So we can draw this right here as a area right here. So if price end up breaking this low right here, then at that point, right, this is where we can see price start to sell off back again, because this is still an ideal of price breaking this low right here, and then the next day close bearish, which is considered a continuation of going down. Now I'm not gonna go to the 4-hour time frame only because I use the weekly and daily as I'm a swing trader, so I use the weekly and daily as my directional bias first, then use 4-hour to determine my entry. So right now we're just trying to focus on the ideal directional bias right now first, right? So that's why I say this week is a week where you kind of want to see what price is going to do first. So what that idea look like if price is to go down, then is to see price actually break below here, retest, and then continue lower. So that's what this idea concept will look like. So we have 2 different kind of approach. So right now we're in this phase right here. Now let's look at yields. Why yields is important? Because if yields is going up, then gold is going down. If yields going down, then gold is going up. But I can say this: we did close bullish on the previous day, so that the next day is going to matter to see how it push. Will we push above here to continue higher, or will we push below here to continue lower? Now, looking at yields, right? We can see how yields going into this week. So yield actually closed. I mean, that's a huge down candle. So I got to look at more in details. Why did yields drop? What drove yields down? So I can see from a chart perspective that yields dropped, but now I need to see what drove yields down. Why is it pushing down? These kind of questions you want to be asking, right? But just from a chart perspective, the fact that we closed like this, pushing down, then we can expect the momentum continue to push down going to next week. So that actually support gold more to push up even more higher, right? So then we go to the daily time frame. We can see how even on the previous day that we closed bearish. So off rip, we're bearish on yields. Like off rip, it don't take much. We can see that price was in this nice. We can see here that price swing low, made this swing high. If it is a lower high than the previous high, followed by a lower low, then price pushed up, made another fell lower high because it's lower than the previous high, going down lower. So what did that tell me? Clear as day that we're in a nice downtrend, even on a daily time frame. So off rip, going into next week, I'm expecting yields to be bearish. So with that being said, that gives me a higher confluence to expect gold to push up more going into next week. So therefore, I just gave you a clear bias on where we're going to next week. It's just a matter of allowing structure to tell a story, right? Let's look at DXY. So DXY, we can see here on the previous, on this week right here on DXY, we can see how we're still in this transition phase, but we can see how the momentum is still pushing down. So because we did close bearish, now we are coming back into this support level. So it's going to be interesting seeing how price operate. I do feel like we're kind of still in that transition phase. One thing I can say about price movement, right, is always quietness before the explosion, right? That's how price cycles move. It contract and pause and just stay still before it explodes. So I feel like with price being in this kind of phase right here, that's price grabbing liquidity, doing what it's got to do before the real move happens. So that's the kind of phase we in right now, which is like what I call the transition phase. So right now we're still bearish because we did push below here. So that support go even more too, because the US dollar is still slowly pushing down. Now we are contracting, so we just got to kind of see how it's going to operate. But right now this is considered bearish going into next week. So what that means for stuff like UJ, well, US Japan, for those who trade forex or futures, then you can see UJ. You can see going into UJ, we can see this week here that actually, that's a huge push down. So what that tells me that sellers are in complete control right now. But to look at from a bigger perspective, now this is kind of more of a long-term approach, right? Let's look at this from a quarterly perspective real quick. From a quarterly perspective, we closed bullish, right? We can see here we closed bullish the previous quarter. That was going to the end of last year. From a candle perspective, if anybody understands how candles operate, you expect if the previous candle closed bullish, then you expect for the next candle to push down first before it continue to go higher. So around these, and that's what these zones are right here. These zones are to see the lowest, to see price pushes lower. Now I can't say if we end up continuing to close bearish for this quarter, then going into the next quarter, then we can expect USD Japan to continue to push down lower. What that means for dollar index, we know what that means. Dollar index can push down lower. And what that means for yen, for those who trade the yen dollar, right? We know that the yen can push up. I'm going to do that for a separate video, a separate breakdown on how I think China can be transitioning and be going up higher, creating a stronger dollar, while US dollar could potentially be going weaker. So that's going to be another video that I will break down. So anyways, we definitely is bearish going into next week for UJ. We can see how we still going strong on the previous day here. So as you can see, I hope that give y'all a clear breakdown of what to expect on next week and how to kind of watch down. It's up to y'all. I'm not a financial advisor. It's still up to y'all to do y'all homework, and based on y'all own risk management on how y'all trade, to allow your trading system to play out first. So I'm giving you the bias. It's up to you to figure, okay, hey, where I need to enter in at, right? So with that being said, I hope y'all have a good next week. Have a good trading week as always. The goal is about surviving long enough to win this game. That's it. Survive long enough to win. If you can do that, then you can be profitable. So always have proper risk management. Control your emotions. Don't overtrade. And I'll see you on the next market breakdown.